Hi there, welcome back to Mysteries Channel. Thank you for clicking on my video, and yeah, let's just get to it. Today, let's talk about some UFOs. Have you ever had an experience or experiences? Have you seen things in the sky where you're like, shoot, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Well, I'm old and I tend to look up towards the sky, and I've had a couple of experiences myself. The major ones that I have had, let me just go over them and then I'll tell you what I think they are, and then we'll go over some really old accounts and we'll kind of see where it lays, right? My most recent experience happened, well, I've had a couple, but my most recent notable experience happened when I lived near the Rocky Mountains. I lived right at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, and it was 9 o'clock at night. I was letting my dog out, and where we lived off the mountains just enough so that when a huge wall cloud would happen over the city, I could see the edge of it. And I also happened to be a manager that was in charge of building and facility maintenance, and we were going to work really early in the morning. I was looking at this wall cloud and I was thinking, shoot, I bet there is a storm raging on the other side of that. And I was making a plan in my head. Am I going to call people now to set up plows? Because we've received a lot of goods, and I was worried that if we didn't have it plowed by 2 a.m, we weren't going to start receiving trucks until later, which would have made a really long day. So I'm pondering this in my head, like, shit, do I call now? And I'm trying to decipher in my head whether I'm going to make the call now or if I'm going to get up in a couple of hours, see if it started snowing, and make the call then. As I'm looking up at the sky and pondering this, I had a huge cottonwood tree here, and I had 2 really huge evergreen trees here. Above that is the edge of this wall cloud that's over the city. And what do I see? I see a triangle coming out of the clouds, much higher than my trees, but lower than the wall cloud. What did I think when I saw it? The first thing I thought was, I'm not supposed to be seeing this. And what seemed to be like LED lights in the top front corner, the 2 back corners, and in the center part was another light. This light always stayed white. It moved quickly from the edge of the wall cloud directly towards Lockheed Martin. Where I lived, there were 2 Lockheed Martin facilities. One, I could literally drive in my car 3 miles away. The other one was a town right south of us, and that town was named Roxborough, something like that. Anyway, that town, the facility was much, much larger. It was hidden by the foothills. So foothills, then the mountain ranges start, and between the foothills and the mountain range is this huge facility that you don't see. I truly believe that this was a government aircraft and that there was an issue with it. I don't know for a fact, but I felt like what I was seeing I shouldn't see, because I imagined that it may have flown over my house several times and I'd never seen it before. And that this one time its cloaking ability was out for some reason, and it was making a stop at this laboratory. I don't think that they made those there. I don't even know what the Lockheed Martin in my neighborhood really did. I just know that this thing was coming down and it was moving fast, and it was completely friggin' silent. Another experience I had, I was much younger. I lived in a different part of the country at this point in time. I lived in Maryland, and I was walking home from the beach one day. We called it the beach, but really it was just a really shitty river. But I saw a light in front of me. The light, when I was walking towards it, I believed that it was a street light until I got close to it and I realized that this thing is not over a street. It's indeed above the water, and it's coming towards me. All I really remember is I turned around and I ran for my life. I know it sounds stupid, but that's what I did. I ran all the way back towards the beach that I had come from. I jumped into a dinghy and I hid there. Craziest thing ever. Random, right? But I couldn't understand what I was seeing, and it scared me. This would have been the mid-90s. And after years of reflection and changes to what we know, I'm pretty sure what I saw was a drone, but I couldn't comprehend it. I do remember when I noticed it, I thought, is that a helicopter? No. There was no blade. There was no sound. There was no pushing of air around me. This was a light in the sky coming towards me. I've seen many other things in the sky where I'm like, gosh, I don't know. It could have been this, it could have been that. But those are the two that stand out to me the most. So I thought, it would be pretty easy to say that this is all military. These are all military vehicles. But I thought, why not go back and look? How far back is it? I didn't want to look at the stuff where you're seeing a stela or a depiction on stone without any words with it, because I'm then inferring what I think it is. No, I wanted to find written accounts of things in the past. So that's what this video is today. It's written accounts of things in the sky from the past. Today I wanted to go back, far back, and so that's what we're doing. So let's go to the very first of these accounts. The first account comes out of Egypt, 1440 BC, and according to an ancient document dubbed the Thule Papyrus, scribes of Pharaoh Thuttmose III reported seeing fiery discs floating over the skies. They were not ordinary meteors, but they actually moved and hovered in the sky. Of course, this document is somewhat disputed. It came to light in 1953 when Tiffany Thayer published an article in a magazine. Thayer said the original transcription was found among papers left by Vatican Museum director Alberto Tulli. This papyrus was made famous by Eric von Daniken and was called a hoax by Jacques Vallée and Chris Aubeck. So that being said, what did the papyrus say? In the year 22, the third month of winter, in the 6th hour of the day, the scribes of the House of Life noticed a circle of fire that was coming from the sky. From the mouth, it emitted foul breath. It had no head. Its body was 1 rod long and 1 rod wide. It had no voice. And from that, the hearts of the scribes became confused. They threw themselves down on their bellies. Then they reported the thing to the Pharaoh. His Majesty ordered that it be examined, and he began meditating on what happened. It was recorded in the scrolls of the House of Life. Now, after some days had passed, the things became more and more numerous in the sky. Their splendor exceeded that of the sun and extended to the limits of the 4 angles of the sky. High and wide in the sky was the position from which these fire circles came and went. The army of the Pharaoh looked on with him in their midst. It was after supper. Then these fire circles ascended higher into the sky, and they headed towards the south. Fish and birds fell from the sky, a marvel never before known since the foundation of their land. And Pharaoh caused incense to be brought to make peace with earth. All of this was ordered to be written in the annals of the House of Life, so that it would be remembered for all time forward. Tell me that isn't freaking interesting. I mean, honest to God. The next one is from 18 BC, from Titus Livius. He is a Roman historian. Titus Livius is known as Livy. He is most famous for his complete history of the city of Rome. Livy gives a complete narration from the foundation of the city to the death of Caesar Augustus. He was quoted as saying he did not care if his fame remained in the darkness as long as his work helped to preserve the memory of the deeds of the world's preeminent nation. Many Romans believe his work to contain truth, but again, shadows cast down upon his writing because many of the things that he wrote about happened hundreds of years before he wrote them. The event in question also happened a few hundred years before him, but he did feel that it was pertinent to record it in the history of Rome. This is what he records, and it is small. Phantom ships had been seen gleaming in the sky. Now, to me, I feel like it's a small little blurb, and he just sticks it in there. It's important enough to record it. People should know that phantom ships were seen in the sky. He does not go and give any great description of it because he didn't have a great description. He just knows that this event occurred and this should be recorded. To me, most of everything else that he has written in his history can absolutely be fact-checked. So why would he just stick something extra in there? It doesn't make sense. I, for one, believe that phantom ships were seen above Rome. All right, the next one, 76 BC. This is from Pliny the Elder. And this is one of my favorites, not because it is super descriptive, but well, basically because anyone who's ever done any kind of research on anything of antiquity runs across this guy's name. He is, I mean, honest to God, without him, I don't even know how much history would have been lost. Pliny the Elder is also a Roman author. Among many other accomplishments. I mean, this guy had his hand and foot in everything, and he was extremely, extremely well respected by everybody. And I'm not just talking about in his time. And many centuries after his death, people go to find his records of things. What is he famous for? He is famous for writing the Naturalist Historia, the natural history, which becomes a benchmark for encyclopedias. Literally, he writes such a detailed historical account of everything known that after that, encyclopedias are born, trying to also record any and all knowledge for posterity. And in all my time looking and researching, not that I'm some huge scholar or extremely versed in research, but I've never come across anyone disputing anything that he's ever written or accounted. So here's what he wrote. A spark descended from a star that grew in the size as it descended to Earth, until the size appeared to be similar to that of the moon. Think about that. That's pretty damn enormous. The alleged spark then ascended back into the sky and transformed into a bright light. So this is no comet, right? This is not a meteor shower. This is something that came and then went. Most definitely is significant, and he felt the need to record it. So again, this is one of my favorites just because of who wrote it. Now, number 4. This account may be one that is the most descriptive, and another Roman account, and this is in 74 BC. This is from Plutarch, and he is describing how the Roman army was about to go to battle with Mithras of Pontus. The sky burst asunder, and a huge flame-like body was seen to fall between the two armies. In shape, it was almost like a wine jar, in color like molten silver. So very small blurbs, but they're recording historical fact. All of these guys were recording historical fact, and they include this in there. Why would we think they're making it up? Why are they lying about it? They're not even going into great depth on it. They're just saying, don't know what it was. This is what happened. This is what it looked like. And they continue with the rest of their accounts. I don't think that they're just making shit up and throwing it in there for the hell of it. Another thing to note is that the Romans, along with the Egyptians, were extremely very well versed with the cosmos and solar activity. It's not like they didn't have any idea what comets and things that came and sprayed over Earth were. They were very much aware of what happened in the sky. They had people that watched the sky all the time. So let's continue on to my 5th. Now this one is 1742, all before man has conquered flight. This one comes from a Dr. Cromwell Mortimer. He is the secretary of the Royal Society of London, and the following account is given from him. As I was returning home from the Royal Society to Westminster on Thursday, December 16th, 1742, at 8:40 in the evening, being about the middle of the parade in St. James Park, I saw a light rise from behind the trees and houses in the south by west point, which I took for a large skyrocket. But when it had risen to the height of about 20 degrees, it took a motion nearly parallel to the horizon, but waved in a manner. It then went north by east point over the houses. He says that its path had brought it directly over the Bloomsbury district of London, passing over Queen Square and making its way in direction of the canal adjacent to it. He then states that he lost sight of it over Haymarket. Again, an interesting account from before we're up there flying around in our own vehicles, and he is just relaying an account that he saw that he thought it was noteworthy enough to put into writing, like the other 4. I wanted ones that were written about but not in such a vague term that I had to infer anything on them. Really, they're just putting in a historical record. This occurred, this is where and when, and kind of what I perceived of it. It's fascinating, right? So tell me down below, have you ever seen something in the sky that you're just like, whoa? And if you have, do you think that it's our own governments or something else or another government? That's really all I have. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment down there. I want to know what you guys think and what you guys have seen. Anyway, have yourselves a very great day.